The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
We are back. Oakland Sports, past, present, and future. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I am blessed to be with Nancy Finley and Jerry Feitelberg.
Thank you.
Co-host and hostess in no particular order. Hey, everybody.
I wanted to ask, did you hear about the survey that the city, I guess, had did for the popularity of the new location for the Coliseum?
Yeah, we saw that. I saw the paper this morning. I think 70% of the people are in favor of it.
I know. I mean, that's just wow. Who did Did Oakland, the city, do the survey?
I don't know who did it. I think it was in Mateer and Ross's column this morning, and they only asked 510 people. So, you know, it depends who they ask. You don't know if they're all sports fans. You don't know if it's a true cross section of all the people in Oakland. But it was very encouraging.
Online? Oh.
Yeah, I read it in the digital edition of the paper this morning.
Oh. I just wondered, how does that? I'm wondering about these surveys because, like you said, Jerry, you have to know, did they ask the same amount of people? Where are they located?
On how they asked the question and who's putting together the survey and how the questions are worded.
Because it seems so different. The response is different from what we've heard before. So I just wondered.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know if it's people directly affected by the stadium or it's people up in Oakland Hills. You just don't know. So
right.
You have to take it with a grain of salt. But it's nice to know that there is support for the stadium at that location.
Yes.
Let's go back to what we were talking about last week or the week before about at that time, I worded it as a real long shot, and I said, Jerry, is there any possibility that the Las Vegas deal with the Raiders is on shaky grounds? And we both agreed. We talked a while, and it really wasn't. Well, you know what? There's been a change politically, and I'm sure Jerry's aware of it because he's on top of things. But for one reason or another, the bond measures that go into financing ballparks have been changed. The rules for it, they're no longer going to do it. What's the story there, Jerry?
This doesn't depend on the tax plan passing. I thought that's what.
Yeah, that's the key because a lot of the monies either wouldn't be forthcoming or they wouldn't be allowed to deduct the tax, the mortgage interest, or whatever. Yeah. And it might bump up the cost of the construction of the stadium to make it prohibitive. So that's up in the air. As of the moment, the tax plan hasn't passed.
Right.
And a lot of people, especially in areas where there's high property valuation, and people can deduct their mortgage interest and their property taxes. If that were to be eliminated, that may put a monkey wrench in the whole stadium plan in Las Vegas.
Oh, Morgan's a tax attorney, and he's received email about this.
So what does that mean for the prospects of the Raiders going to Oakland? Is it more up in the air than it was a week ago?
Yeah, well, right at the moment it's not. I don't know if they have broken ground to build the stadium in Las Vegas. As far as I know, it's supposed to be done by 2020, but we don't know.
They said Nevada, New York, and California.
Okay, we got to have a little time out here. Okay. Who's got the puppies barking into the phone?
Not here.
The pool guy is here, and the dogs are going insane as they usually do.
Oh, okay. Okay. You want to go in the other room with the phone, or you want me to stop it for a few minutes?
No, we're fine.
Okay.
I'm in Isla's sanctuary right here, her office.
Okay. Okay. Good deal. So bottom line is that do you think this will throw a significant monkey wrench into the plans of their moving?
Significant? It's too early to tell. As far as I know, they're going ahead with it.
Wait, yeah, they had a deadline, right?
I don't know about the deadline. If they can't get it built, that'll be good for the Oakland fans.
What were they going?
Absolutely.
What did they have to do last month? I thought there was something that was going to happen at the end of October. I think it was.
No, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
It's my fervent hope that the plan fails in Las Vegas. The fans of Oakland were jilted once when they moved to L.A.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't deserve to be jilted a second time. Well, there's another interesting development with Jerry Jones is going to possibly sue the NFL because the owners want to extend the contract of Roger Goodell. And
oh, really?
You know, yeah. And the NFL is what's pushing for these new stadiums, and the hell with the fans.
Uh-huh.
And I think if it falls apart, it'd be wonderful. Maybe they can build another casino where the place is being built.
Yeah, and Goodell is NFL.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
It would be nice. I think, the best fans in the world, the most loyal fans, are the Oakland Raider fans. They're unbelievable.
Oh, I know.
Well, there's a small but vibrant fan base for the A's, and the same can be said about those. I don't know if it's 5,000, 7,000 people. They are absolutely loyal to an organization that really, in the past few years, has been it's been very difficult to watch them accumulate ball players, sell them off. Sonny Gray's a good example. This year, Alonso they sold off, and they seem to have a plan in mind that revolves around getting really good about the time the ballpark
well, that's
comes
been
up.
going
But
on
we're talking 6 years. That's 2 generations of ball clubs.
Well, get it going.
Well,
I'm just so frustrated. In 2006, I was reading. Well, they're young. They need to grow, and then trade, and then the same, or we need a new place, then trade. I don't get it. Just do it.
In 2006, they had Nick Swisher and they had Frank Thomas, and they didn't sign Frank Thomas. He had a phenomenal year, 39 home runs, and he got him into the second round of the playoffs. It's the only time in the Billy Dean era that they've done that, and they let him go to Toronto. So they have a different model now, or at least they're ascribing to the model set by the Houston Astros. Get good young players, build a core around them, and they'll take you to the World Series and hopefully a championship.
Now they're getting this model.
Now they're getting it.
I want that in writing.
Yeah.
I want that in writing.
The A's haven't been to a World Series since 1990. That's 27 years. They haven't won one since 89. That's 28 years.
When did they win? Yes, exactly.
1989, the Earthquake Series.
The clock is running.
What was interesting in your book, Ralph brought up this small cadre of people who are loyal to the A's, and the Giants had that back in the Candlestick days. They had 10 or 12,000 people at the game every night when it'd be freezing out there.
Yes.
And the A's have that too. But what in your book, you point out back in the 70s, the A's were, and especially after they got rid of all the great players that took them to 3 world championships, the attendance dropped to 400,000 for an entire season.
I know.
And now the worst it's been, even with Lou Wolf saying he wanted to go to San Jose, was about $1.2 million, $1.3 million, and they were as high as $1.7 million.
I know.
Back in the day,
Wolf was quoted saying, "Oakland better not think it's going to have a team because it's not." And I'm thinking, what if we had said that?
Why would you spend your money with someone who's going to say, I don't want to be here?
Well,
I want someone who says, I want to be here.
I know. I think the difference is back then there wasn't an internet. There wasn't internet. So
right.
it was really tough. And also we couldn't change our ticket prices. Like if we were playing the Yankees, we couldn't increase the price because they were pre-printed.
Sure. Yeah,
we're not going to go out and scalp our own ticket.
Yeah, now it costs more to see the Yankees and the Red Sox and anybody who's doing well.
But we didn't know what we could have. I mean, I didn't know that you could increase ticket prices. You were allowed to for that kind of thing. But now it's automated. So you have automated.
Oh, yeah.
You have MLB.com helping with marketing. And I just think, wow, if only we had something of that to help with the marketing.
You know,
Nancy, were you and your dad, was your dad and Charlie satisfied with the sale? Did they feel that the team wasn't being sold out from under them?
They were not completely satisfied, but it was sort of like the deal had already started. And Dad felt that if he had not signed Billy Martin, that they would not have even gotten that amount. So it was on the cusp. It was right before, like, when if homes start going up in price, right before they're stagnant. That's what I see it as. It was right before that time when teams just went through the roof. And
when you look at what a team is going for now, do you sometimes shake your head, Nancy?
Yes. Oh, yes. I wish we could have held on a little longer, but the truth is that lawsuit that was served on Dad. Actually, I was at the Coliseum when that was served on Dad. See, those things weren't served on Charlie. They were served on Dad. It was
because in California, when you have a corporation, you have to notify the Secretary of State who the person is to be served, and it's probably your dad.
But you know what's odd? Morgan noted that it was filed in federal court and not state court, which is more expensive. And he thinks Billy Coon was behind it.
Probably.
Yes, because
after reading what Billy Coon did to your Uncle Charlie and the war that they had, it wouldn't surprise me.
And then I've always said that the reason I've mentioned his fraudulent bankruptcy is because, not that bankruptcy's bad, but to show his character, his do. And, if it boils down to who you're going to believe. So I figured, okay, if we want to throw stones at Glass House, mention everyone here. But with that 79 lawsuit, it was ridiculous. It was the Coliseum Board, County of Alameda, and City of Oakland, and they were accusing us of not marketing enough and not selling enough tickets, and then they said our players were not up to MLB standards. That is another reason Morgan thought Coon was behind it, because he said, how would the city even be able to tell if players aren't up to MLB standards? Who are they?
And what owner wouldn't want to sell more tickets? That's more business, more popcorn, more soda, more beer.
Yeah,
that's a ludicrous argument.
Exactly. It was a suit meant to harass. We had it thrown out just 4 months later. The court in San Francisco threw it out. It was frivolous, but that suit worried Dad, and Dad had friends out here who were making it worse. They were saying that, Finley is really hated. We don't know anyone hated more than Finley. It's not going to do any good to just stay here. The hatred's going to get worse. So Dad planned. He was planning right after that. When he went to the owners' meeting in '79, he obtained Martin to start that season in '80. I remember how proud Dad was when we picked him up from the airport. It was we were living in Alameda. Dad flew into Oakland and said he got Billy Martin to start, and that one reason was to help increase the price. But Dad's the one who told Charlie it was time, because we would get it bad here. We were the ones here. And Dad didn't want, he was worried about me too. He was just worried about what could this hate turn into.
Yeah.
I mean,
Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that the team sold for $11 million in 1980, and the A's paid a guy that didn't even play for them this year, Billy Butler, $10 million to sit on his rear end and do nothing.
I'm going to throw up.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We surprised this is ironic. We do this. Dad manages to do all this without thinking. We've rebuilt the team. So when Billy comes in, we've got these guys that we've had since 77, 78, and they're really getting hot. Billy just adds to it. So then when the Haas family comes in, they expect to have to revamp everything, and they're getting in the mode to do it. And then all of a sudden, our rebuilding pays off. Look at 81. And it was like, well, this wasn't supposed to happen. So Charlie was going to be sick watching the playoffs and thinking, why did I sell so quickly? So I looked in our 82 yearbook, and I didn't see anything about the playoffs except on Billy's page. And it occurred to me that really took everyone by surprise, and I don't think it was really wanted.
Yeah, they had a great first half. But the strike killed them, and they couldn't regain the momentum in the second half.
Exactly. And what else? Charlie helped negotiate the strike in, what was that, 1972 or 71? He came, the owners appreciated him because he helped negotiate that and get it over fast, or even prevent it from starting. So that was an example of how they needed Charlie. And then after we sold, what happens? The owners finally vote Kuhn out.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They got tired of him.
Yeah, it was as if Kuhn's sole reason for being was to go after Finley. And once that left, it just seemed like he did.
He was the baseball establishment, and Charlie Finley was the guy with the bright, creative ideas that upset the apple cart for these guys.
I know. Wow.
And the guys, they were in the late 19th century. Their baseball thinking was back then. Baseball is a slow game. It doesn't change. We want to keep it exactly the way it is. And Charlie Finley is thinking, hey, you got competition now from the NFL. You got competition from TV. People can see the games. Let's make it fun. And they couldn't stand that.
I remember hearing how good Kuhn was at looking down his nose at people, because Dad thought that Kuhn's first impression, he heard Kuhn's first impression of Charlie was that Charlie was a hick, didn't take his mannerisms seriously, not knowing where to put the fork on the table, setting table. You know what I mean? It's
he was a pompous asshole, Kuhn.
Yes.
Kuhn was. He really was.
And
He's not much different than Roger Goodell. They have a tremendous amount of power.
You're right.
And you have to remember, they work for the owners. And if the owners have a maverick or someone going against the grain, they want their commissioner to put a stop to it. And that's what Kuhn was doing.
So that's what Charlie was. He was the common enemy, because I'm thinking, how did those owners not vote Kuhn out after all that time? And I guess it's because Kuhn made them feel like they needed him to keep Charlie from being active. I don't know.
We don't. We'll never know. Did
the Haas's treat your dad well?
Yes, they did. And I remember when Dad was set to retire in '84, and it was suggested that Dad might want to go for commissioner, because that's when, gosh, who was that? you'll.
Well, at least American League president. You know, back
Yes.
in those days, you had an American League president, national
Oh,
president.
I know. You should have seen me when I learned that didn't exist anymore. I guess it was after Dad passed. I always thought they still had it. Lee.
Hey, I don't want to shock both of you, and maybe we did talk about this a while back. They're considering eliminating the National and American Leagues and just making it a big conference.
What are they going to call
with,
it?
eight teams, 8-team divisions.
No, that's too forward thinking. They won't do that. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's bizarre. That's just too bizarre.
Yeah, they need 2 more clubs, and then they can have 4 8-team leagues and play a 154-game schedule, which would give them more time for the playoffs.
But are the owners going to consent to having fewer paydays?
No, I don't think so. You know, not with what they're paying now. You know, here we're talking about a guy like John Carlos Stanton making $30 million a year. You got to put a lot of people in the stands and have to sell a lot of television to make the money to pay him. So I don't think that.
Well, unfortunately, it's the television first, and the people in the stands second that come
and
to
also,
mind.
The people who have the A's
get together.
Well, the people who have the A's own concessions too, so that helps. We did not own concessions.
Wow, that's a good point.
I wonder how we made any money looking back on it. I mean, it's just, I see what they're able to do now. And it's just, with the, what do they call it, the ticket pricing, the changes. Oh, also not as many double headers. We had a lot of those.
What's a double header?
Yeah, right.
The only double headers they now have is a double edition. They'll have one game in the afternoon and one game at night. But I think the last doubleheader I saw was in '87 when the Twins played the A's, and the Twins shut them out in both games.
Why did those stop? Why did those stop?
They want the extra revenue.
Yeah,
they want the
purely economics.
Yeah.
You know, I think we gave away very high-end, really, gifts when I look today. I mean, the bobbleheads are okay, but, you know, those are inexpensive to make. By the way, I would never want to see Charlie's head bobbling like that, but those things are scary. But we would, like, for Hot Pants Day, we gave away actual Hot Pants perfume to the first 5,000 women who wear, well, anyone wearing hot pants had it.
Didn't have to be a woman.
Well, you know, no one asked at that time, but that I would like to see that come up because I know Charlie would say, "Yep, give it to him." But that was extravagant because I remember seeing these boxes of this perfume, and it was a foam, and it crackled when you spread it on. But that was extravagant. That was really.
You know. I was just telling I was going to do some errands. She's waiting for us to. Well, if she's going to wait, I'll take her on the errands. So, but anyway, there was something else that you wrote in the book that was kind of interesting, Nancy. It was about your dad. Your dad. First of all, knowing what I know about the A's and the amount of employees that they have now, and there's about 200 full-time employees with a baseball team. And when your dad was running the team, he was doing everything. He must have been working 16, 18 hours a day. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He had to be able to do all those things.
He was there
because
early.
of for the demands. And the other thing that was interesting was that you said that he had a great knack of manipulating Charlie by letting Charlie, giving him ideas, and then Charlie would think that he thought of it himself.
I heard that a lot.
That's quite a trick. We were talking about that Sunday. Isla and I went down to Modesto, and she was talking about her late mother-in-law, who did the same thing. She would do the same thing and plant the ideas in her husband's head, and then when he came up with it, he would have thought that he thought of it, where in reality his wife had, put the bug in his ear.
Yeah, Charlie was.
And people can't do that. It takes a real knack to do that, to get what you want done.
Yeah, you have to know someone well. And Charlie was just like my grandfather. So Dad, I mean, being just like Dad's dad, Dad knew how to work him. And he knew what would get him angry. He knew it. He always predicted the answer he would give, too. I don't know how he did that. But he, because people would ask Dad to ask Charlie something, and Dad would tell him what he was going to say, and they'd beg him, ask. And Charlie would always answer the way Dad predicted. But yeah,
Nancy, did Charlie continue to devote his time to the insurance business?
Good question. Very good question. Yes, he did, but he started closing the offices in the late 70s. Like he had an L.A. satellite office he closed in 77. And what hurt that was the Mike Andrews issue.
Oh,
Mike Andrews, yeah.
Yeah, because
and I read that because Andrews was on the '67 Red Sox team, the Impossible Dream team.
That's how he met Wilson. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because the Dr. Hudson was our general practitioner, and then Dr. Walker was the orthopedic doctor who other doctors went to, and they had great reputations. They were wonderful doctors. And then they had complaints filed about them with the medical board, and they didn't deserve that. And it was all Kuhn. Kuhn actually went to Andrews and suggested he file something.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. That's
terrible.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that was really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Did your dad get satisfaction out of all of this? Did he pass away a happy man?
You know what? Not really, because of what happened. Well, first of all, when Charlie passed, I noticed a difference in Dad after, because they spoke on the phone at least every morning, at least. And I noticed Dad starting to go downhill, and that worried me. And then the new ownership, the ownership that came in after Haas, they rescinded Dad's 4 tickets.
Oh, really? The shots and offense? Well, I have a short story to tell you about how cheap these guys were. Not only did they get a bargain, the franchise was valued at that time around $95 million, but they got it for $75 million, $20 million under market value, because they were going to keep the team in Oakland, or said they were going to keep the team in Oakland. And when they took over at the end of the 95 season for the 96 season, the A's had in 95 at a payroll at that time of $35 million, which was not phenomenal. It was okay. You know, don't forget they had Eckersley, and they had Ricky was still there, Mark McGuire was still there. Mm-hmm. And they said to the team, cut it to $24 million.
Really?
They wanted they come on at $10 million off.
Well, their new president was a CPA, former CPA. That doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah, so guess what you got in 96, 97, 98, 99? Mm-hmm. You got crappy baseball. The A's finished last of those 4 years.
Yeah, and
they got good. They got good in 99 with Tim Hudson coming along. Then they got Mark Mulder and Barry Zito. But those 4 years, they didn't draw very well in those years, and the reason why is they had owners that didn't want to spend a dime.
That's terrible, because I remember when Dad said his tickets were rescinded, he didn't understand why. See, he had that gold pass when he retired. He had the gold-plated lifetime pass, but he didn't use that. It was the principle of the thing. The Haas family gave him 4 lifetime tickets where he always liked to sit if he went, or he would give them to friends, and they were taken back. And that was in his contract, that he was supposed to have those. But he didn't make an issue of it. And
he could have won. If it's written in the contract, he could have gone to court and won, but he didn't. What are you going to do?
Yeah, he wasn't like that. And
but just being treated that way, that you force somebody to make a decision whether or not to have to pursue it, it's criminal.
I reached out to them and asked if they would do some kind of honor for him because I thought maybe it would make him feel better. And they said, no, we just do that once someone has passed. Wow.
Well, I can tell you now with Dave Cavill being the president of the corporation, of the A's Corporation, he likes that stuff, and that would not have happened. He likes the continuity of the A's from 1968 forward.
Well,
you want to build on that.
I have a feeling. For some reason, Schott did not like Finley, but I don't know why. And then I found out that his partner, before he bought the team, he was partners with one of the Coliseum board members in some team in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
And so, but he might have been told things, about us by that Coliseum board member. I don't know.
Yeah, it was really petty. It really was. And because you would think that you'd want to have continuity between the owners. I don't know how the clubs run, but I know in Boston, if there were members of the Yawkey family that wanted to go to the ball game, they'd be welcome to the ball game because of the history of the Yawkey family in Boston.
It was
and the
terrible.
same thing in yeah.
When they bought
it's not just that. It's treating the guy like a human being.
Oh.
How about that?
Exactly.
Yeah. I felt
he took a pride that he had the tickets and that he could give him his gifts, and
it hurts thinking that he passed knowing that those were taken away. And you know what I mean? It's writing the book helped me get my mind off of that, but it hurt. How do you take that back?
Well,
you don't.
By remembering things like his celebrations of the World Series. How cool was that when you guys were winning? What were the celebrations like?
Oh, great. There was always a Miss America. They loved Miss America. I remember
I think Charlie loved Miss America.
Oh my God. Always, or Miss California, and I thought that was a sport when I was little to watch it, and so, but also, by the way, my dad would buy me Cosmopolitan magazines, and I would read them, and I remember when I was in my 20s, I showed a girlfriend, an article, and she said, "You read that crap?" And all of a sudden, I looked at it and thought, "Oh my God, I do." And that's the thing. I never knew. I was raised looking at things differently. But,
right.
Yeah.
You were raised by folks who were products of their time, is all.
Yes.
And,
yes.
It was a different way of treating men and women, and it had to be very difficult for you coming in just growing up, just when women's rights, summer of 68, all that stuff. Big change.
I was in
conservative
Dallas.
upbringing in a
yes.
fairly liberal state compared to Texas, let's just say.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was in, though. See, we had prayer every morning in school in Texas. You would listen, it would be on the intercom thing. And yet, it didn't, I don't remember thinking, oh, where's the prayer? Nothing like that. It was just different. And I liked being able to wear whatever I wanted to wear out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe your prayers were answered after all.
That was boring. Yes, that was. I don't remember anyone said.
Really. On that note, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. I was truthful.
I'll leave it to your imagination what her prayers were. Okay. Hey, thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Let's do it 2 o'clock next week, same time, same place, same bat channel, all that stuff.
Thank you.
Good with you?
Look forward to being here. Sure.
Okay.
I enjoyed the off-the-air stuff, the tidbits, before we couldn't put that stuff on the air.
Oh, I know.
We enjoy learning about that too.
Yeah.
No, that's our little secret.
Yes. Okay.
3 of us.
Look at the
and
bright
Morgan
side.
knows
There's only about 94 days before pitchers and catchers report to spring training. It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, before we know it. But until then, it seems like a long time. You guys make the Hot Stove League nice for me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, next week we'll have a lot to talk about because it's awards next week. We'll see who is most valuable player, Cy Young, Manager of the Year, Rookie of the Year. Should be interesting.
Absolutely. It'll give us something. And we'll talk trades. We'll talk trades that built the ball club in Kansas City that and I came across something very interesting. I'll give you a little teaser. Joe Rudy was acquired. He wasn't developed in the A's organization. I didn't know that before this morning when I was doing a little research. So next week we'll talk about that and other stuff. All Oakland sports related. And what's happening with the Raiders real quick? The up-to-date Raiders. What's going on the field? Not the ballpark stuff.
Well, the Raiders beat Miami.
Okay.
The Raiders beat Miami. They're 4-5. I think they're off this week, and then they go down to Mexico City to play the New England Patriots, which probably will be their season. If they win, they'll be 5-5, and who knows what will happen after that. If they lose, it's 4-6, and it's going to be very, very difficult for them to make the playoffs because they have to run the table. And I think that they have to play Kansas City in Kansas City later in the season. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult for them. But should be interesting. How
nice it would be to beat the Boston Patriots. That would.
Yeah, well, from an Oakland standpoint, yeah. From the New England standpoint, they want to send the Raiders a message that we can beat you here, we can beat you in New England, we can beat you in Oakland. So what's it going to be?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. If we'd have looked back 4 or 5 weeks ago, who'd have thunk they are at least, if not in strict contention, could at least talk about being in contention if a few things turn up right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Ralph, I got to
Thank you both. We'll be back next week, everybody. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. Hey, and if you enjoy our offerings in any way, take it upon yourself to accumulate some lightly used children's books, put them in cartons, bring them down to the Head Start program in whatever city you live in. It would be terrific. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week. Adios.
Bye-bye now.